Saying, how do you feel? I don't expect you to say fine. I don't want to hear fine. I want to hear how you feel. I really want to know what's going on, because there's no way to fix what's going on if you don't know what's going on. And what's going on right now is all over Facebook and probably anywhere else on the internet is get ready for swimsuit weather. And of course, in January, it's get ready for the new year. Always somebody's going after you, constantly going after you to slim down, trim up, tone up, whatever it is. Okay, I want to talk to you about paying more attention to how you feel. If you notice a difference in how you feel, if you notice that you've got less energy, if you notice that you have a headache, if you've checked your blood pressure, which is a really good idea, check your blood pressure. It tells you a whole lot about what's going on with it. The home sets of blood pressure checkers are very inexpensive, and it's really worth finding out what's going on, because when your blood pressure is way off, there's a lot going on, and you should be feeling it, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're just so used to saying I'm fine, or nobody wants to hear me complain, or so and so and so. At the end of this video, you will find my school, and the school, SKOOL, is a place for people to come and talk about how they really feel, especially for people who are trying to recover from trauma, because trauma is my specialty. That's what I work on a lot. On weekends, I work for a group called Lifering, helping people with trauma that has caused so much grief in their life that they've ended up drinking too much, smoking too much, eating too much, shopping too much, whatever, or taking too many prescription drugs, whatever it is they were taking, or smoking cigarettes, or inappropriate sexual expression. All that stuff comes from the effects of trauma causing emotional pain that you want to go away. Okay? It doesn't just go away on its own. There has to be something that you do. Now, some people will meditate, some people will use neuro-linguistic programming, some people can deal with grief much better than others can, some people can deal with pain better than others can. But in general, people will look for something to take away the pain. And in general, people will overdo whatever it is they've decided to try, because the pain didn't go away right away. Well, it doesn't. You know, even when you take a pill, it doesn't happen instantly. Well, most pills anyway, don't happen instantly. It's something you really have to work on. And it's important to recognize how you feel, because if you get on one of these programs and you start doing the exercise and you're not paying attention to how you're feeling, that's a big mistake. Because, like, for instance, at my age, I'm almost 80, I listen to lots of things where doctors are talking about on YouTube, on the different channels, where they're talking about eating more protein when you're over 70, and you're sitting there going, well, I'm not growing. The only thing I grow with is fat. You know, I'm not growing. Yeah, you are replacing. Remember, when you were in high school, they talked about your body replaces itself every 7 years. Now, it didn't say your body replaces itself every 7 years till you turn 21 or till you turn 65 or anything like that. No, it didn't. It said your body replaces itself every 7 years. Different parts at different times, of course. But the whole point is you still need to take care of yourself. I can remember a friend of mine's grandmother only drank tea and ate toast, white toast, and she died. Well, tea and white toast is not going to keep you alive. It's just not. It doesn't have the nutrition you need. I just heard a doctor speak last night on YouTube, and he said to eat peanut butter when you go to bed, because if you eat peanut butter, it has lots of protein in it. And during the night, usually after midnight, it starts to go to work to replenish your body, your muscles, because your muscles require protein. Well, we don't think about that. Now, I do, because I'm a vegetarian. Well, I'm a pescatarian. That means I occasionally eat fish. But in general, my diet is vegetables, fruits, and grains, and nuts, and seeds. And, my husband kind of kids me about looking like a bird. Yeah, well, that means I have to pay attention to my protein. I really have to pay attention to my protein, because if I don't get enough protein, and some doctors will come along and say, especially I've seen them on the internet, and I don't know if they're all medical doctors or not, but they'll say, oh, most people eat more protein than they need. Well, that may be true. When they're in their 50s or 60s or 30s or 40s, they're eating big hamburgers and big steaks and all that sort of thing. But in general, we cut back on protein, and we cut back on other things like milk with calcium and that kind of stuff. And that's why we need to take a look and see what's going on. You might want to go to a clinic, laboratory, have a complete blood count. There's several other things. And you can find recommendations on the internet that tell you what kind of laboratory work should a person who's certain ages have done. And sometimes they may ask you some more too, because you have to remember your doctor only has about 15 minutes with you, and it's really hard for the doctor to remember everything that you might want to do. And maybe he's watching out for your budget. It makes a big difference there too, if he's watching out for your budget, or she, because it does cost money to go to a laboratory. On the other hand, it gives you a lot of information. I know that when we were in Mexico, we had our blood tested every 3 months. Both of us did. And it was really, really insightful. They've made the blood tests now where you can actually tell they have listed right on there what's normal and where you are. Now, it didn't used to be that way. It used to be very secretive. The doctors would just look at this, and you weren't sure what was going on. Well, now it's not that way. You have a right to know what your blood is and how close it is to normal and that sort of thing. But instead of jumping into one of these programs, and I have nothing against programs, exercise programs or eating fresh food programs or whatever, take a look and see what is really going on. How do you feel? And if there is anything going on that you're a little concerned about, go ahead and go to a lab and have one of the tests, depending on what's going on, have one or more of the tests done, because they're going to give you some answers. And comparing yourself to other people is not really the way to find health. If you want health and fitness, you've got to really pay attention to yourself. You've got to look at what's going on and what you need or what you don't need or what's available. I just learned last night that one of these cactuses over here is edible, and it's very nutritious. And the local people here in Ecuador put it in their soup. They say it's real good with meat. Well, I don't eat meat, but I could sure try it with a piece of fish. You see what I mean? Take more interest yourself in your health. If you know that you eat a bag of chips 3 times a day, you're probably overdoing it, okay? But you could probably have a banana or an apple instead. And if you were checking what was going on in your health and recognizing how you feel and really paying attention and not saying, oh, well, it's just old age. Don't go there. Don't go there. Because that way you're going to overlook what's really going on. Lots of people up in their 90s and their 100s are still doing a lot of things. That's one of the reasons I live here. Well, it's actually the main reason I live in Ecuador, so my husband has every opportunity to have as long of a life as he wants. Because this is a blue zone. These are where people pay attention to what they eat. The next village from me is called the Village of Longevity, Vilcabamba. It's called the Village of Longevity. And when they did all kinds of research there to find out what's going on, they discovered it. Water's great, the air's great, the food available is great. And finally, a number of different organizations said, we think it's all of it put together. Well, the people are old and happy. So I'm here too. And I'm old and happy. So please take care of yourself. If you want to talk to me, I'm on School, SKOOL, 3 or 4 days a week. I'm happy to talk about any subject you'd like to talk about. I like to talk about trauma and how we can recover from it. And things that when people say, how are you? You're not going to just say fine. You're going to tell me what's really going on. Okay? Does that make sense? Thank you so much.